What's up, everyone? Yeah, we're back. I know it's been like 4 weeks, 5 weeks since I made a video on here. Yeah, it's been a crazy few weeks. Wife went back to work, kid went to daycare, then entire family got COVID. We were out for like a week, then I was traveling out of state for wedding work, and then client work just started piling up, and because of COVID and all the things, I just knew there was no way I could keep up with the YouTube channel and maintain a healthy family and also deliver work to my clients. So yeah, that's why we've kind of been on like a little hiatus here for the last few weeks. But anyway, we're back. Super excited to be here today because one of the things that's changed over these last couple of weeks since I've been away is I finally kind of finished putting the final touches on my desk setup, my editing setup. I've been waiting on some parts and waiting some pieces to kind of come in, and everything's been back ordered, and you know how the world is right now. So anyway, today we're talking desk setup. Gonna dive into my entire setup and kind of how I build my system for editing at home. Yeah, I think an intro happens here. All right, let's do that. Man, it feels good to be back on YouTube. Like, honestly, it's been, I know it's been so many weeks, but it's been just so encouraging to still see like subscribers joining the channel and people commenting, just to see people are interested in my content and the stuff that I'm putting out and just the opinions that I have on things. Really, really appreciate that. So thanks for still kind of keeping up with me, even though I've been MIA for a few weeks. Really, really appreciate that. So anyway, what we're here to actually talk about today is my editing desk setup. I've spent a lot of time building a system that allows me to work from home competently, but also take that setup on the road. And so that's basically what I want to share today is my editing desk setup for 2022 and kind of next season and beyond as well. All right, so let's dive right into things and talk about the desk. So the desk that I'm using is a Jarvis desk from Fully. It's a sit-stand desk, and it's their 72-inch like wide desk. So it's like their biggest desk that they offer. And I'm a big fan of like large desk setups. I don't know, I've just really enjoyed having like a lot of space to kind of just spread out all of my thoughts and just kind of get everything all in one place. And then the chair that I'm using is a kind of refurbished or open box, I forget which one it was, but a not at cost Herman Miller Aeron chair. Those things are stupid expensive. The chair I was using for honestly probably like 8 years was like an $80 chair from Staples, and it had no lumbar support. It had no support in general. It creaked constantly when you moved. So I was just super over it. I knew how much time I was actually spending sitting in this chair, and I wanted something that was gonna help me out, and my back was hurting. And so yeah, I purchased this chair from MadisonSeating.com. Madison Seating has like open box refurb kind of items at massively reduced costs from what like a full price Herman Miller chair would cost. Check them out if you're looking for good quality but like discount price. And then because this is a sit-stand desk, one of the things I kind of splurged on when I bought the Fully desk was I bought the Move mat, which is just this big mat that sits below, kind of like a standing mat that sits below the desk. And so when I raise the desk, I pull the mat out, and the mat kind of has a bunch of different textures and stuff inside of it. So when you stand on it, it just kind of encourages you to move, which is probably why they call it the Move mat. But honestly, I've just found this super helpful for just kind of making myself be more active during the day. So yeah, that's the main desk setup. Now let's chat computers. So for any of you who were like eagle-eyed viewers before, I used to edit on a 27-inch 5K iMac. It was a 2017 Intel iMac, so it was honestly very old technology, 5 years old in the computer world. It seems like an eternity, and it definitely was not keeping up with my editing workflow, especially as I started throwing more 4K content at it. I also had like a 16-inch MacBook Pro that I was using, a little bit older one, and that was great for on the road stuff, but I just kept running into an issue where I had big editing desk set up at home. I didn't have all my assets on both computers, and I have to change things back and forth and bring hard drives. And so what I really wanted to do for this year and beyond was to kind of set myself up with a single computer that I could work from at home, work in a normal kind of studio office environment, but also have to take on the road in like a laptop form. And so what I opted for was the new M1 Max 16-inch Apple MacBook Pro. So I got this thing a few months ago, and it's been honestly mind-blowing how good this thing is. And what it's allowed me to do is basically create a desk setup where I have a massively powerful computer at home on the desk that I can just pull a cable, throw it in a backpack, take it on a plane with me, and have the exact same desk setup with all of my plugins, all of my presets, all of my like visual assets and sound effects and all that kind of stuff stored stored on the computer locally. And so then no matter where I go, I have my entire editing desk set up with me. So that's been phenomenal. The specs, basically, I've maxed it all the way out other than the hard drive, which is not 8 terabytes, it's 4 terabytes, but that's still a massive bump from, I think it comes with standard with a terabyte. Having a 4 terabyte drive allows me to have all of my plugins, all my presets, all of my visual assets and sound assets, as well as all the work that I'm currently editing on the computer all at the same time, where I can just literally take a laptop to a cafe, pop it open and work. It's been super, super great. So in terms of displays then, I have the MacBook connected to the Apple Studio display, and that's mounted with a VESA mount on a little arm, so I can just kind of take that screen and move it around. And then speaker-wise, I actually used to use like this big Apollo interface with some nice, reference monitors from Genelec. And again, I wanted something that I could take with me to a cafe, and I can't take all of those speakers and all that stuff to a cafe. And so what I ended up opting for was when I'm just at home listening to a podcast, listening to some music, listening to YouTube videos or whatever, the Studio display speakers are actually really good. They're definitely not reference quality, they're not mixing quality, like you wouldn't want to mix a video on these speakers, but they're totally sufficient to like listen to music throughout the day, have a podcast on, something like that in the background. And then when it's time to actually mix things down, I invested in the Apple AirPods Max, those like over-the-ear headphones that have really good quality, good noise cancellation, are great for flights, good for cafes and that kind of stuff. And so then whenever I'm doing audio mixing here at the house, I'll just use those headphones to mix everything down. And honestly, it's been a great setup so far. I still miss like my big Genelec setup and the Apollo interface and all that, but who knows, maybe someday I'll get an office or a studio where I'll kind of have a mixing desk, and that's the dream for later. But for now, I wanted like a minimal setup, a clean desk setup for home, that I wouldn't feel like there was just clutter with cables everywhere. And so that's what I've been using for my audio. In terms of like keyboards and mice and all that kind of stuff, I use the Apple wireless keyboard. I use the trackpad for kind of pans and zooms and gestures and that kind of stuff. But my primary mouse is the Logitech MX Master 3. It's been a great mouse because of all the customization you can do, program specific customization, which is super helpful for like Premiere, Photoshop, and having like different, kind of button commands on the mouse depending on which program you're in. So that's been fantastic for editing. All right, so that's kind of the main piece of the setup. Let's chat connectivity now, because obviously I have to plug in a lot of peripherals and hard drives and all that kind of stuff. And so what I use for that is the CalDigit TS4 Plus Thunderbolt 3 hub. This hub is honestly awesome because literally it allows me with one Thunderbolt cable into the MacBook to plug in the studio display, all of my external hard drives. It has a SD card reader and a micro SD card reader in it as well as extra Thunderbolt 3 ports, USB-C ports, USB-A ports, Ethernet jack, like all these things, plug in all of my peripherals with one cable. Literally when I come home, all I have to do is plug one cable into the MacBook Pro, and I have screen, I have audio, I have all my hard drives, card readers, all that kind of stuff all plugged in, which is super fantastic. It is backordered to eternity right now. It came in stock for like a day maybe, and then it was immediately out of stock again. So if you can find it, it's amazing. It works fantastic for this kind of setup. Yeah, but it's very hard to get your hands on right now. So speaking of hard drives, I have 3 major drives rather connected to the CalDigit, which is then obviously connected to the MacBook Pro. I have a big 8-bay RAID from G Drive. It's kind of one of their shuttle drives. It's an older Thunderbolt 2 drive, but this drive basically houses all of my current work that I'm working on, as well as all of my work from like the past year. So that's like a redundant drive so that in case a drive fails, I don't lose all my data. And then I also have a second drive that's just a 2-bay RAID drive, but again, still redundant backup there. And that's where I kind of store all of my extra stuff, like the image final, like the JPEGs when I finish a job. I have a bunch of my film scans on there. I have like a backup of all of my current working stuff. So I have that in multiple locations. And then attached to that drive, I also have a little smaller drive that I just kind of use for my Time Machine backup. But those 3 drives are all plugged into the CalDigit, which then runs to the MacBook. So when I plug that in, all of those drives kind of pop up and I have all of my information. But all of my working stuff lives on the MacBook. All of my like effects libraries and assets and that kind of stuff, they're backed up on those drives, but they also live on the MacBook so that I don't have to have external drives. I don't have to bring external SSDs with me to edit. Everything lives right on the MacBook, but those hard drives are still there, still connected, so I can archive stuff, offload stuff, and keep things redundantly backed up. And then audio-wise, I didn't mention this when I talked about the speakers, but I also do have a Shure SM7B microphone connected to a Rode boom arm, and that's plugged into a Zoom H6 interface or audio recorder that I'm kind of using as an interface to my MacBook for right now. And that's what I basically use for like Zoom calls. I use that to record audio when I'm not doing this camera shot here, but if I'm kind of talking to the camera at the computer and I want to have a microphone a little bit closer to my mouth for like recording tutorials and that kind of stuff, So that mic just lives on the boom arm on the side of the desk, so I can just whip it out for a Zoom call, which makes things just super, super easy. So then in terms of like final kind of aesthetic and productivity things on the desk, on top of the Fully desk, I have a desk mat from GroveMade, and on top of that is the desk shelf from GroveMade. And this just kind of serves as a place to kind of hide the CalDigit Thunderbolt hub, hide my card readers, hide some notebooks. I have a candle that sits on one end and like a succulent that sits on the other side. I also have some of my productivity stuff. I have a planner from Shinola that I use to do like my weekly planning. So this is kind of where I'll go in and write out all the things I want to get done during the week and kind of plan out the days. And then in terms of actual daily planning and to-do lists and stuff, I have the analog system from Ugmonk. This thing has been phenomenal for just kind of keeping me like on track and on task throughout the day, for cataloging what I'm actually getting done. And so I kind of know, has this been a productive day? Have I gotten done everything I need to get done? Am I actually doing well? Or is there stuff I need to offload just tomorrow because like I haven't quite finished everything? So that's just been super, super helpful. And then finally, last but not least, up on the wall, I have my monster Stendig calendar. This has been something I've honestly wanted this calendar for years and just never had a space to hang it in the house that we lived in before this. And so when we built this house and when I got this office space, one of the first things I bought for the office was this massive calendar. So this is just the Stendig calendar. You can find this on Amazon. I'll link it below so you can check that out. But they release a calendar every single year. It's kind of cool because it's a super minimal, super clean calendar, and it also switches from white on black to black on white every other month. And so you just kind of like have a fresh, clean look every single month, which is super fun. And then the last thing to chat about real quick is lighting. I just have this like random desk lamp from Target that's sitting on the corner of the desk. And then off to the side, I'm kind of dual purposing my Aperture C120D light with a big light dome on it. That's the light that's currently lighting me here. And then when I sit at the desk, I just kind of rotate that over. Eventually I would love to get some like, you know, LED lighting for the back or some panel lighting or something like that to kind of light up the back and make things look a little bit better. I would love to replace this desk lamp because I've had it. The thing has been literally in my life for way too many years, and I didn't even buy it for myself. I bought it for an assistant that I had years ago, and so it's just kind of sitting there because it fits the clean, you know, white aesthetic that I have going on currently. But if you know places to buy cool desk lamps, let me know. I've been looking at some stuff at IKEA and all that. But again, the purpose of this video is to share the editing setup, which is more about the actual desk itself, the computer, how I actually edit things, the hard drives that are plugged in, the systems that I have in place, and then really the aesthetics come after that. So yeah, that's my desk setup as it currently stands. If you have any thoughts on this, feel free to leave those in the comments. If you would like me to make a dedicated video on any one of these specific things, from productivity to hard drives and backup to the computer or studio display, anything, let me know, and I'd love to make those videos to kind of help you guys out. Thanks again for putting up with me over the last few weeks as I've just not been putting out videos. My family and my clients have to come before my fun stuff that I do on YouTube, even though I love this community and I love making videos here. Again, my paid work, and obviously my family has to come before that. All right, thanks guys, peace. Yeah, I'm done, you can come up. Hi, hi, hi. Yeah, I said I was done with the video, but you can say hi to YouTube real quick. Were you so good while I did my video? You just laid there? Yeah, this dog's the best. She just literally lays on her little blanket, cuddled all up while I talk. All right, bye guys.